I'm just going to give you a high level summary of the various modules that we use in Maximo to manage our assets. You can go to the first slide. Right now we're using Maximo 7.6.0.8. Our Maximo, our entire Maximo system is highly customized to meet our needs. Originally, the part that I use, we use it primarily for the management of our assets from acquisition to final disposition. For the first one and the main one is our general assets module. In this module, we track movement of our property that costs from $1,000 or greater. And we also put in computer equipment and anything that we may deem as a high theft item. To go along with that, we created a asset inventory module. We're required by the auditor to do a complete inventory every 2 years. So in this inventory module, what we did is in the background, it looks at the last inventory date. And if it's over 2 years, it changes the status to due for inventory, which is important because we have roughly about 43 locations throughout the state. And we have to print off inventory lists that we send to all these different call center managers, and we depend on them to verify their inventory and send it back to us. And then we in turn update the inventory system. And the next one, which kind of is really important for the other two, is the asset transfer module. And this one was really important because what we found out was a lot of call center managers, they do internal transfers. So you'll come to my area and you go, oh, I like that. And I may say, oh, I don't need it anymore. You can have it. And so you move it into your call center or in your area. And when inventory comes, it's missing. So what we did, we created an asset transfer module that will allow one call center manager to initiate a transfer. The other call center manager accepts it. Once that is accepted, it sends an email to my team, and any of us can go in and then what we call complete the transfer. Because until we complete it, it really isn't physically moved from the initial location to the new location. And the minor assets module, I created that primarily for the call center managers to assist them because they are actually responsible for tracking and maintaining inventory that costs $100 up to that $1,000 level. And they can actually manage their minor assets the same way we use the general assets module. And it's so nice if their assets are in there, they can transfer them the same way they transfer the things that we track in the general assets module. And it helps a lot. We had one incident where, let me back up. Everybody haven't put all their general assets in their module or their minor assets in the module. So this one location had a fire. They actually had put their inventory in, and it was such a blessing. They were able to literally just go print out an inventory report and give it to our finance department so that they can then start the insurance process of trying to get the money back and, do all that stuff. It just made such a big difference. And when I'm training, I often use that example to get people to understand how important it is to get their inventory loaded. Still having a problem getting that done, but I'm keeping hope alive. All right, we can go to the next slide. I also have a locations module. We track locations from the city all the way down to the suite level. So in the module, I have to put in like a city, a building, a floor, and then a suite number. We also have the purchase order and the purchase requisition module in it. We don't actually load anything into it, but what it does is in the background, they have some type of, what is it called? They run a program that pulls in the purchase orders and the requisitions into my module. That allows us, when we add an inventory, to go in and select the correct purchase order and attach it to our asset. So that gives us like one place to find all the information about that asset. And we don't have to go from the department. Can you send me this? Can you find that? Everything we need is right there. And I didn't put this in the slide, but in addition, and I love it, we don't even have file cabinets anymore. We attach all of our documents for an asset to the asset. So anytime you need anything, it's all right there tied to that asset. Now, facilities has a module. I don't manage it, but I wanted to include it because it's huge. They call it a service request module. And everybody in the state goes in and we just put in service requests. So it can be you out of tissue in the bathroom, the lights are out. I use the lights out a lot in the warehouse and in my high volume area. Then they actually use my location module, because when you select the location, it tells them exactly where you are, all the way, like I say, all the way down to the suite level. So I know they use the locations, and I want to say purchasing also uses our location module. And last but not least is this is my Christmas list, if you will. My pending modules, the reconciliation one button. What that means is, for years and years, I tracked my property reconciliation at the end of the year in a spreadsheet. I wanted to do it by the month because I don't want to wait to the end of the year when it's time to give it to the auditor, and I pull it up and I'm trying to reconcile and I'm out of balance. So what I did is I created a spreadsheet and I balanced every month. Well, it took years, but I finally got that summary report in Maximo now, and I can just click on it and print it out. But that's not all the auditor wants. What I have to do in addition to that is, for every number on that summary report, I have to then sit and click a report and print out a detailed report in duplicate for every single number on that report. So what I've told my IT people is, all those reports are in the system. The summary report is in the system. You should be able to create something that I click on, I verify that everything balances, and then I click something else and it just prints out everything I need. I think that can be done. My second thing is, when I initially started helping design this Maximo inventory module, I noticed that my supply warehouse processes should work in Maximo as well. I have a supply warehouse where we pick, pack, and ship items that we send out to all of our career centers daily. And like I say, you have to be able to pick, pack, and ship. It prints out. Right now, we use CICS, or this, some people call it a green screen. It's really old, but anywhere in the state of Georgia, people in our offices can go in, put in an order. It prints in my warehouse. We pick, pack, ship it to them. And then we also have to do quarterly inventories for supply warehouse. So I know that all this stuff can be done in Maximo. And the last thing I have is, well, no, I have two more. The scanner. A few years ago, actually it's been several years, we actually met with a group of people and they gave us a presentation on hand scanners. And I loved it because if you had a tablet or a smartphone, you could load an app, and these career center managers could literally walk around and just click and just scan barcodes. And then it would put it in like a holding table, if you will. And we would get to let me change that. My team could review it before we actually move everything into the actual inventory module, which would then update inventory. So I'm still wanting that. And the last thing, which I didn't put on my slide, is also I want to be able to do my reconciliation that I have to do at the end of the year, the same way I do my property reconciliation. Because right now I'm doing the same thing I was doing with property. I'm doing it in a spreadsheet. And I'm a believer in automation. So I'm just praying that soon we'll be able to get back to some of this stuff. Everything, well, everybody knows with COVID, everything just kind of got put on hold. So all of my little Christmas list here has been put on hold until we can get back to a little bit more normalcy, I think. Okay. And this is my question slide.
Awesome. That's great, Phyllis. Lots of good stuff going on with you guys and some things in the plans. It's always good to have hope and have an enhancement list out there ready to roll. So